Hi, my friends. I've decided that I kind of like doing this Facebook Live thing, even though I actually don't like being live or being on camera or being exposed like that. But I feel like we're having really neat topics and conversations, and so I've decided to keep doing it. Okay. Today I thought it would be interesting to talk about, and this is not just in chronic illness, although I think that's an important aspect of this topic, but today I wanted to talk about the importance of knowing your tribe. And I know a lot of you can relate to this. So we all have different levels of friendships in our lives, and we have family members who we may or may not be close with, and we have friends that we've picked up at different stages in our lives. For me personally, I have elementary school friends that I am still friends with, and I have high school friends that I'm friends with, college friends, people that I met, just being a part of the community, and then you've got family, and then military friends. There's all these different kind of chapters in your life, and those people who make up who you are, right? The relationships you build, and but I think what's really important, not just in, some people really find it important to have like a ton of friends, right? They need to have like the safety in numbers, or to feel like they're important because they know a lot of people. And when I was in the Lyme community and really active as part of the Lyme community, it was really important to me at the time to feel like I was connected with people who were like me. But what's interesting about that is that at the time, I only cared about connecting with people who were suffering, right? So I was looking for to not feel alone. I needed to know, oh, you had a terrible night, I had a terrible night. You're flaring right now, I'm flaring right now. But it wasn't necessarily that I had anything else in common with them. It was just at that moment, I needed to feel connectivity with people who felt like crap. And to see that maybe there were people who did feel like crap and were making progress. But the question is, who is your tribe? And I'm sure, this is kind of like a buzzword, if you will, that goes around. So you have people who like to use the word tribe because these are the people that they take yoga with or feel connected to on something specific. But your true tribe, what I consider to be your tribe, are the people who not just connect with you, not just people that you have things in common with or that you can have fun with, but your tribe is made up of the people who truly love you unconditionally and who accept you regardless of your weaknesses. And one of those weaknesses, do you see? On National Puppy Day, of course, the dog asked to go out during a Facebook Live because this is what we do. So what is important is not just that you have these friends who, you can grab a drink with. Those are good friends too to have, right? But your tribe consists of the people who just love you as you are. So when you have days when you're in bed, your tribe checks on you, or they don't judge you for that, right? They don't hold it against you that you can't predict how you're going to feel from one day to the next. And so the importance of knowing your tribe in life, but especially in chronic illness, is that you need to be surrounded by people who are there not just to lift you up, right? Like, it's not their job to make you feel better. And it's also your responsibility to be a friend to them. So this works both ways. Like, the members of your tribe are also people who you also lift up, and it's a difficult balance of, not letting it be too lopsided. They may not be in need the same way that you're in need, but I try to, even if I'm the sick friend, I always want to be a friend to my other friends who are in need also. And so I wanted to take a second, because we talk about things like energy vampires and, being an empath, which I know many of you are, and how that energy comes into play with the relationships in your life. And just like we talked the other day about mindfulness and setting, resetting the language and the dialogue that plays internally, your relationships are just as important, because the voices of the people you surround yourself with also contribute to your internal dialogue. And so I remember at my sickest feeling like everybody had dropped off the face of the earth. In the beginning, they're like, oh, I hope you're okay. And then I always say, when I didn't heal on their clock, right? When I didn't make the kind of progress that fit their expectation of when I should get better. And I know this is true in a lot of communities where, like in the cancer community, people feel like in the beginning, people are there for them. And then after a while, people don't like to be bothered with sick people. It's like, I don't know. Maybe it brings down the mood. Maybe sick people are just kind of a drag, or maybe it's just something that is an animal instinct, that when somebody else feels really bad and curls up in a ball, you distance yourself from them. Whatever the case, humans a lot of times need to feel connected when they feel the loneliest. And so knowing your tribe is really important. I have talked to people a lot who feel like they're stuck in that place of chronic illness. And I noticed that a lot of times there are people who are surrounding them who are not validating their experience in life of being sick. And this is tricky, right? Because you want to validate somebody and what their experience is, but you don't want to necessarily feed it. You still want to be like a positive voice to them. So if you validate in the sense that you are perpetuating the bad stuff, then that's harmful too. But what I notice is a lot of people have somebody in their life, be it a spouse or a best friend or a family member, sometimes a parent, who really doesn't understand their chronic illness. And it's hard to understand chronic illness if you're not going through it yourself. But if you are surrounded by people who aren't really your tribe, then sometimes we allow their voice to become our inner voice, and then we lose faith in our own ability to heal. And so it's hard because you can't sever ties easily with all people. There are some people that, let's say it's a Facebook friend and you're like, I don't need this person in my life, and you cut them free and they go. But I just wanted to, I was thinking about this the other night, and I was thinking back to, friends who kind of abandoned me, or how I felt abandoned during the dark hours. And then, when you feel better again, all of a sudden they kind of resurface like, oh, good, fun Jennifer's back, right? Like, I didn't really like that other side of you, even though it was beyond my control. But now that you can participate in life again, we want back in. And I just wanted to bring maybe to your awareness, if you haven't been thinking of it already, that if there's somebody who is dead weight in your life, or there is somebody who doesn't allow validation of your experience as, somebody with chronic illness, you may want to consider cutting those cords, because sometimes even cutting them in your mind helps to break away from, these habits and these relationships that we form that are unhealthy. And so I don't want to take a lot of time. I just kind of wanted to drop this little nugget and get you all thinking about, if you have toxic relationships that you need to resolve or break free of, but also to see if you feel like you know who your tribe is, people who have your back, who accept you unconditionally, who understand that you may say that you'd like to have lunch, but if you have to cancel last minute, that's acceptable, and that it's not the end of your friendship because you have to cancel, because this is part of what you deal with. And those relationships are just so important, that relationships are important in general, but having good ones and having relationships of people who you can count on, and also people who can count on you to be there for them emotionally, that's a really important aspect in healing, in living as a person with chronic anything, even if it's not physical, if it's living with chronic anxiety or depression, living with physical illness, living with, hardship. Knowing your tribe is really a valuable asset to have in your toolbox, and to be paying attention to that, so that as people start to maybe take advantage of a situation, or if you don't feel, genuine love from that person, that you figure out ways to start cutting those ties. Because sometimes the last step in healing is not the physical aspect. And I'm definitely finding that, true in terms of the mindfulness and stuff like that we talked about last week. And I feel pretty fortunate in that I don't have a lot of, I don't feel like I have a lot of negativity in my relationships. But it is something to pay attention to. So I just wanted to drop that little nugget off, and hope that you have a fantastic rest of your week, and just maybe give it a few minutes, or take 30 minutes of your weekend and commit it to evaluating your relationships, and see if there's anybody there that sticks out to you who might be toxic, or who might be making you feel poorly about yourself or your situation, and see if you might be able to kind of assess that situation and make change for the better. That is it. I'm not going to talk your ear off today, but it is definitely worth mentioning, especially if you have chronic illness. Those relationships can be tricky, and everybody deserves to be loved unconditionally. So know your tribe, and don't try to make people be part of your tribe who aren't your tribe. I mean, it's important to recognize if they're not your tribe, don't force them into that, because that's the other thing is, setting your expectation of somebody and then having them fail you is really hard too. So know your tribe, kick out the people that don't deserve that valuable real estate, and I will see y'all next week. Take care. # National Puppy Day.